It's cold and dreary outside, but inside this tent, there's light, warmth, excitement, celebration, and hope. Right now, I'd like to turn it over to Samuel Hunter, who's going to offer an invocation. Pastor Lowe sends his regrets. He had something come up at the last minute. So Samuel's going to bring the invocation for us, and then I'll come up and we'll get started. Thanks, Samuel.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Really do appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind bowing your heads, closing your eyes. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to see another day. Thank you for allowing us to gather here and fellowship and spend time together. Thank you for allowing us to celebrate this groundbreaking and continue to guide us in the future. We give you all the praise, the honor, and the glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So we're so thankful to have so many leaders join us for today's ceremony. Before we get into the substance of the program, I'd like to take a moment and recognize a few, and then if we could please just show our gratitude for them by acknowledging them with a round of applause after all of the names have been read. Here with us on the front row, we've got some of our speakers. Mayor Allen joins us here today. Mayor Pro Tem Dee Dee Adams, Councilmember Annette Scipio, Councilmember Barbara Burke. I know I've seen Councilmember Jeff McIntosh, Councilmember Larson. I know I saw Councilmember Clark. Forgive me, forgive me if there are others who have not caught as they were coming in. We've also got Salima Thomas here from Kathy Manning's office. Representative Lambeth I saw. We've got our board chair Andy Perkins. We've got our vice chair Betsy Anisi. Commissioner Alfred Adams from the Housing Authority Board, Commissioner Vivian Perez Chandler, Commissioner Bill Rose, Commissioner Kathy Stitz. Thankful that we've got former board chair Arthur King with us, as well as our former executive director Larry Woods and his wife, who've been able to join us today. Tara Hall from the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, representing Scott Farmer. We've got Superintendent McManus, who has joined us. Our resident Sabrina Brown, who's going to be speaking later today, as well as the mayor of Cleveland Avenue Homes, Miss Maddie Young, who's also in the house. I know Stacy Conklin is here from the HUD Greensboro field office. They've been wonderful supporters of us throughout this project. I've seen Commissioner McDaniel, I've seen Representative Terry, I've seen Commissioner El-Amin. I had word that Commissioner Woodbury is here, although I don't see her right now. Certainly appreciate her support. She's here, all right. There she is, hey Shay. So I'd just like to welcome you all and thank you for being here. And I'd like to do likewise and recognize some of the partners in this project, some of whom are here physically, some of whom are joining us virtually, and some of whom are, we know, here with us in spirit, although they weren't able to join today's festivities. First and foremost, I just want to say that the City of Winston-Salem has been a true partner throughout this process. Not just the council members, many of whom you've heard named already and who are here, but also the city staff. Marla Newman has been a pleasure to work with throughout. Samuel Hunter, who, as his own brand for Samuel, was willing to jump in and offer the invocation when that was needed. He's always willing to do that. Anytime that there's a project need, he's been a great addition to the team. Former Assistant City Manager Tasha Logan Ford, who's in another city now, but we were blessed to have her as part of the team, and she was instrumental in getting us to this point, as well as the late Mayor Pro Tem Vivian Burke, who supported this project. And I'd like to acknowledge her. Needless to say, Councilmember Scipio, in whose ward we sit right now, Councilmember Burke, in whose ward the subsequent phases of Cleveland Avenue Homes Choice Implementation Project will be completed, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, and Mayor Joines. I'd like to especially thank my board, specifically the leadership of Chairman Andy Perkins, Vice Chair Betsy Anisi, and former Chair Arthur King, who supported us to this point. Our staff at Halls, Grant Duffield is leading the Choice Neighborhood Project. He's been responsible for a lot of what's gotten done. He's responsible for a lot of today. And then I'd like to acknowledge Larry Woods again. He's not a current staff member, but a former staff member. And I'll speak for myself. I would have never heard of Choice Neighborhoods but for Larry Woods and his advocacy for the project. So thank you, Larry, for your role in getting us to this point. Cleveland Avenue Homes residents. I know we've got two here today in Sabrina and Miss Young, but the residents throughout this process, going back to the planning grant, the attempts for previous iterations of Choice Neighborhood Implementation grants that were not unsuccessful, but they were the building blocks for the subsequent grant that was awarded. The greater Cleveland Avenue residents, not the residents of Cleveland Avenue Homes, but the residents of the surrounding neighborhood with whom we've met, who've been an integral part of the process, including the steering committee. Governor Cooper, Scott Farmer for the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, Representative Kathy Manning, Representative David Price, Paul Lowe in his capacity both as a state senator as well as the pastor of Shiloh Baptist Church. I'd also like to thank the congregation of Shiloh Baptist Church for the role that they've played in this process. The HUD field office from Greensboro, as well as the Choice Neighborhoods team from Washington, D.C., Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools Superintendent McManus, former Superintendent Angela Hairston, Darrell Walker, who I know is here as well today, and again to reiterate Shay Woodbury and her support in both of the roles that she's played. Matthew Rada and Steel Group Architects and the role that they've played in the design. The joint venture between Frank L. Bloom and Sterling Construction, who is the general contractor of record, as well as our development partner, McCormick Barron Salazar, and our people partner, Urban Strategies. So thank you all for your roles. Before I turn it over to Mayor Joines, I'd just like to say a couple of quick things. And like I said, my board is wonderful and they support me throughout, but Andy Perkins, who I see sitting down, if there's one thing he tells me, it's to shut up a lot. So I'll try to heed his advice and do that. I would like to say, I think it's interesting that we find ourselves on this site in the month of December, as it was December 5th, 2014, nearly 8 years ago to the day, that the Housing Authority closed on the purchase of this property from Shiloh Baptist Church. Remember that, Larry? And it was another December day, December 20th, 2016, exactly 6 years ago this month, when a fire destroyed that original school building. And I remember standing right over there and watching the fire smolder and wondering whether anything would ever rise from those ashes. And today answers that question with a resounding yes. As many of you know, this project is being funded through HUD's Choice Neighborhoods Initiative. CNI is the acronym that we use for the Choice Neighborhoods Initiative. And that's a HUD grant program targeted at redeveloping aging public housing. And in our case, that aging public housing is the Cleveland Avenue Homes community. That targeted redevelopment is part of a comprehensive plan to transform a community by investing in the people who live in that community and in the neighborhood which surrounds it, not just the housing. Our CNI project is somewhat unique in that we are able to pursue a build-first approach, meaning the first phase of housing is being constructed right here, an off-site location a few blocks away from Cleveland Avenue Homes. And that approach has allowed us to retain our existing housing longer, minimizing disruption to Cleveland Avenue Homes families, and supporting our theme of reconnecting neighborhoods. But make no mistake, while we are breaking ground today at our off-site phase, future phases are coming, as construction work at Cleveland Avenue Homes proper will commence in the next phase, and I'm already looking forward to the phase 2 groundbreaking, which will happen on site, and we are determined that that's going to be a nice spring day. In the interim, please know that other, equally, if not more important work is already happening on site at Cleveland Avenue Homes. Our people partner, Urban Strategies, has been embedded in the community for 2 years, working out of existing apartments, engaging with residents, meeting them where they are, focusing on education, workforce development, access to health care, access to child care, access to transportation, and public safety. Change is happening, and I'm so thankful to you for joining us today to celebrate that. I want to emphasize that as I've told City Council and I've told our board and I've told our staff and I've told our implementation team, if we don't get the investment in the people, and if we don't get the investment in the surrounding neighborhood, and if we are not fully committed to that, all this is expensive housing. This project has to be transformational. So while this is a point in time, and this is an opportunity to celebrate, this is nowhere near the end. So we're going to keep this momentum going. Thank you all for being here today. Again, I reiterate Senator Lowe's apologies. He had something come up, but at this time I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mayor Joines. Thank you again.
Thanks, Kevin. I think you introduced everybody in the tent. But that's what it took to make this happen, folks. You know, we struck out, Richard, about twice. We came back with a third time, and third time's the charm, and we got smart. Working over those years, we learned about it. This last one came in, had heavy community participation, and I think it helped push us over. You know, if you look on the right-hand side of your program, you see a lot of names over there. City of Winston-Salem certainly played a role in it. It continues to play a role in it. The North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. I talked to Governor Cooper, and he talked to them, and they greatly agreed to give us 5 years of priorities in terms of the housing tax credits going forward, and that really helped us to sell HUD. Richard Barron told me, so we got to have that, Mayor. Urban Strategies is working with the neighborhood, continuing to do that. We've got our wonderful neighbors, my great friend, the mayor of Cleveland Avenue, Maddie Young. Maddie told me, she said, you stay down City Hall and run that okay, and I'll just stay here in Cleveland Avenue, and I'll run Cleveland Avenue, and everything will be okay. So I've taken her up on that, and it's worked just fine. Of course, I got to call out my friend Donnie Lambeth, Chairman of Appropriations for the Representative Donnie Lambeth, and thank you for your support, and we might need a little more help, Donnie. We have our school system with Trish McManus is here. They're agreeing to build that beautiful new school right there in the heart of the Choice neighborhood, and Councilmember Burke shaking her head saying that's going to be a great addition. That helped push us over the top as well. Was it $35 million or something of that nature? Yeah, they're all in. It really helps us to make this work. So I'm just thrilled to be here. Long time coming, 84 units coming here, another 300 and so many units in the other part of it, a total of 426 altogether. So it's going to be a transformational project here in our community. The year we got the grant, we were one of 4 cities all across the country to get a Choice Neighborhoods grant, and that's a pretty good company to be in. And then we saw prices go up. Richard and I were just lamenting on that. We saw supply chain issues, and I want to thank Kathy Matting's office for going back and helping to help push through some supplemental bills that we're going to be able to apply for some additional dollars to help make this project happen. So I'm just thrilled as the mayor of the city of Winston-Salem to see this project coming on forward. And we're going to celebrate it all the way through as we do these various phases. And Richard, thank you for sticking with us on this as well. Do I introduce our Mayor Pro Tem and just ask her to come on? So Mayor Pro Tem, would you come on up? And then followed her would be Councilmember Scipio and Councilmember Burke.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here today. This reminds me, Marla, of when we met over at Cleveland, when we pulled all of the community stakeholders and everyone that wanted better for our community and our city, and the community that wanted better, that has been waiting a very long time. It's very emotional for me. I was telling Kevin that I was on the Housing Authority Commission when we got the Hope 6 grant for Kimberly. But unfortunately, some people decided that I was too close to it and wanted to make sure that every I was dotted and every T was crossed for my community. And just say they showed me the door before the first shovel of dirt was turned. I didn't even get to attend the one in Happy Hill as well, because I knew once we got one that we were going to get another one. And I was on the Housing Authority Commission for 7 years, appointed by Mayor Martha Wood, her first appointment as mayor. She said, go over there and do something. I said, but I don't know what to do with housing. She said, you'll learn. I know you will. And she is right. This project is very personal because I grew up in this community. I went to junior high at Kennedy Junior High. I attended Atkins High School, Skyland Elementary. I lived on what you all know as Martin Luther King, where the CVS is, but it was Claremont. Come on, Fleming, you know. I walked from Boston, Okalana to Kennedy for junior high, and I also walked to Atkins. But the people at Cleveland Projects and Miss Young, she remembers working with me. I promised her that I was going to take care of this if I didn't do nothing else. I promised you that Cleveland was what? Next. And then when we get Cleveland done, yes, sir, Richard and everybody, we moving on to Piedmont Circle. I want the people in the community know a gentleman came up to me that I met in the Lowe's during the past few months that lives over here, and he wanted to know, like, you know, what's going on. I want to know, make sure I know what's going on in my neighborhood. And that, you know, y'all up here doing this, and I got people down here that need jobs. I said, well, there's a big old sign up there on the fence that tells you, Section 3, that we have to hire the people from the community. We have to train them. And I don't think we did a good job with Hope 6. This is a promise that everybody in this room has to make and be intentional and not just talk about it, but be about it. But again, I want to thank Marla Newman and Tasha Logan Ford and Kevin and everybody, Councilmember Robert Clark, who was shaking his head at the beginning a lot of times, but he jumped in on it, and as finance chair of the Winston-Salem City Council, he understands the value of this to the community and how we had to circle the wagons when we found out that we was running out of money because the interest rates was going up and the cost of construction. But we had a come to Jesus meeting on a Zoom call. And those of you that were on that call, y'all know how that went. I told y'all better get your mind right, because we promised to do this. And I am just so grateful. As Kevin said, as the mayor said, don't give up on us. We still got a ways to go, and we're gonna need your help to finish this project so that it's very successful. And the community, the customers that matter, their expectations are the ones that we have to exceed. So again, thank you all for being here today. I'm just, like I said, I'm very emotional. The next person up is City Council Member Annette Scipio.
What a wonderful afternoon this is. I see the sun shining. I feel the rays of hope that are emanating from the ground and shining from the clouds. We are at this moment on the grounds of Brown Elementary, Woodland Avenue School, that for many years served as a center of hope for those of us who lived in this area. I went to church and grew up at Shiloh, across the street. Reverend Pitt's house was right there. Brown Elementary was here. So many wonderful teachers came to put into us, the students, hope, possibility, opportunity. I did not go to Brown, but I had many relatives and friends who worked there, and my friends went there. I went to 14th Street. So right now, where we are, I hope you understand where we are in this moment in time. We're changing. This is no longer going to be the seat of education and opportunity. but there are people who are going to live here in wonderful housing. Your house, your home, is the first ground of nurturing. People will have decent housing. When Cleveland Avenue and Happy Hill were developed as public housing projects, they were also that. Some people had the first indoor toilets at Happy Hill. That's how wonderful it was. So I look at the site plan, what's coming here. There are going to be some people who are going to be walking into some housing that they never thought was possible for them. And this is 2022. I will tell you that's deplorable that people for the first time are going to have really decent housing. But more importantly, what is our responsibility? I appreciate all of the time it's taken to get to this time and space. But we're sitting in one of the poorest areas in Winston-Salem. People live and work here. It's their situation. But what do we do to lift them up? I am so happy that the Choice Neighborhoods process includes lifting people up, giving them the information about how to live decently, to give them hope and helping them to get to jobs. But everyone sitting here has a responsibility to touch those who are coming to live here, to reach out and encourage them, just like we were encouraged, that there is a wonderful life for you. Let's keep that hope alive. Let's not look at people as those people. Because I hear that. It's been said for years, and it's still being said. It's not those people. It's all of us. Our city is made up of everyone, and everyone here has potential and opportunity. And they may not be able to buy a house, but they certainly need to have decent housing. And because they are renters does not mean they're less than. So as we move forward with constructing this, let's bring everyone with them. Let us reach out and say, you can do this. You will do this. Here is the opportunity. And as we build these apartments, let us make people know that they too are wonderful. They're as valued as anyone living on the west side of town. Matter of fact, we're much more important because we are the salt of the earth. We bring the flavor to the table. That's what we do. And we have survived all these years with not much, but we can have so much more. I want us to keep hope alive for our residents. We are so valued because the spirit of the people who planted on this soil, it's still here and it's gonna be here. And I want you to see the beauty of it all because I can feel it right now. Can you feel it? Yes. Isn't it wonderful? Can you see the streets with people walking and happy and safe? I see it. Please see it. Because you have to make it happen. Thank you, and I'll give you Miss Bird.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited today. This day has been a long time coming. Am I right? Yes. And it is here. Let's just cheer and clap. Today has finally come. Yes, yes, yes. Like Mayor Pro Tem, I have a connection to this community as well. My maternal grandparents had a house right there on MLK. They used to call it Claremont. And those of you who are my age or older, you might know, you might remember Bay Coast gas station. You know what I'm talking about? It was right across the street. So yes, I am so excited about what we're doing in our treasured community. This is going to make such a tremendous difference for our community that has such a rich historical value. And I am just over the hills excited and grateful to everyone that had anything to do with making this happen. I want to thank our mayor pro tem, our council members. I want to thank our city manager. I want to thank our city staff who helped to make this happen. McCormick, Barron, and Salazar, C&I. Where is Tanya and Eva Mosley? Are you here today? Oh, beautiful. I didn't even know it was you. And Sandra, thank you so much. I want to say that over the years, since we've been working on choice and since I've been on council, I have really appreciated how Tanya and Eva and C&I have really been working with our community members, with our residents. Am I right, Mayor? Huh? Mayor Young? I really appreciate how all of the opportunities have been extended so that our residents can be at a better place. That's what this is all about, getting people to a better place in life. And we're committed to it as council members, and I cannot wait for phase 2, phase 3. I can't wait for the next on down the street in the Northeast Ward. So thank you, any and everybody, local partners and beyond, who have had anything to do with making this happen. Thank you so much. It's a great day.
Hello, everyone. It's a little chilly for me, but with the warmth of all the expressions that have been made, it's exciting, and I'm happy to be here. I am Tara Hall. I am representing the Board of Directors and staff of North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. Our agency has a simple mission to finance housing opportunities for people across North Carolina, for those experiencing homelessness to those purchasing a home. All of our work is done through local partners, like the team assembled here today. We are incredibly proud to be a partner in this work. Today is a historic day for the city of Winston-Salem and our state. This is the first Choice Neighborhoods grant in the state of North Carolina. This is a great example of local, state, and federal governments collaborating to achieve great things. And I'd like to congratulate the city of Winston-Salem, both their council and staff, the Housing Authority, and all the other members of the team that are transforming this community. There is a mountain of evidence that shows that access to high quality, affordable housing, like what is being built here, changes lives and builds stronger communities. It is directly linked to better health outcomes, better grades for kids, and greater social mobility. Our agency has made significant commitments to support this redevelopment, including the set-aside of highly competitive federal housing credits. None of our work would be possible without the support of our elected officials in the General Assembly and in Congress. I know that Representative Lambeth and Representative Terry are here. Please be sure to thank them and other members of the Forsyth County delegations for their investments in housing. Thank you for having me, and we are excited to see this development come out of the ground And I can't wait. This is locking me in. That's right. I can't wait to come back for the ribbon cutting. Now, Mr. Richard Barron.
Well, good afternoon. There's love in the room, and that is always a good sign. The privilege is really ours. I have been working alongside of Sandra Seals and Tracy and now Katie Cutler with the Urban Strategy staff, and we have never been more excited about a project. This has been a very difficult time, and all of you are to be congratulated. Mayor Joines and the council and the Housing Authority and its board. One could have never imagined when we were part of the group that got the award that we would then run right into the pandemic. It has been an extraordinary time. And all of the issues in the economy, the dislocation with materials and construction, we're deeply grateful to our general contracting team and our architects, but it has been a very difficult time. And we continue to push ahead with all of you, and it is really a pleasure to be here. I have been working along with Sandra and the mayor and I and the council members and the residents here. I just would like to take a moment to say to you, next year will be our 50th anniversary. I started this company 50 years ago to do exactly what the speakers have been talking about. I began my career in St. Louis in the late 60s as a law school graduate on a fellowship and went to work at the Legal Services Program in St. Louis. And I was working with residents in public housing from that time. They went out on a rent strike against the Housing Authority in 1968 because of conditions. And over the last 50 years, I have spent thousands and thousands of hours in public housing communities throughout the United States. And the reason that I wanted to start McCormick Barron was simply because I wanted to have an opportunity to work with families and the children so that everybody could get lifted up with better housing and using it as a platform. And I had the good fortune in the late 70s to start Urban Strategies. You'll hear from Eva. And so I have two hats. I'm the chairman of McCormick Barron, Salazar, and I'm the chairman of Urban Strategies. And what a joy it is for me to meet with staff folks to talk about what's happening in cities across the country with the good work that's going on, but more importantly, the opportunities that families and their kids are going to have as a result of the work that's being done. I'm deeply grateful to the Housing Finance Agency, as Mayor Joines said. Scott Farmer and the staff really gave the application a boost with HUD. And it was really the thing that made Winston-Salem competitive to get a choice grant. And Winston-Salem will continue, and it'll go forward, and it's going to be extraordinary. And I'm going to be back here with all of you, and am really proud of all that's happened here because of the time and the difficulty that everybody has come through. And I am just more than happy to be here and thank our architectural team and the contractors and all of our staff people that have been working hard with city staff and the mayor and the state. And this is going to be phenomenal. It really will be. And I just couldn't be more proud to be here. And just, again, this is my 230 groundbreaking. And as I like to say to my public housing friends across the country, Barron had a full head of hair when he started with me. So you can see what happened to me. But it has in no way diminished my excitement about being here I love every minute of it, and I just wish all of us good health, and let's keep going. We're going there. Thank you very much. Eva? Come on.
Thank you, Richard.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here. Esther, our president, Donovan Duncan, our executive vice president, they send their best wishes. They have prior commitments once they set this. They're in Selma, Alabama now doing some good work there. So they said, hey, we send our best wishes. And as I reflect over the last 4 years of being here, those first year that Urban Strategy was involved, we had 8 days to submit an application. Kevin, remember that? And during that 8 days, we have to flee from here because of a storm was coming through. So we didn't get it, but we learned a lot from that. The next year, we put our efforts forward. We engaged the community. We got a lot of community support. And with that, we leveraged over $100 million in leverage. And that's people, our partners, talking about what they can do in kind for our families. What are those services they can provide to our families? It has been phenomenal. Well, in addition to that, we got the grant. Then what happened? COVID happened. I had to hire all my team remotely, doing these Zoom calls. So we had to pivot. We had to learn, okay, what do you do in the midst of all of this? I got the best senior project manager here, Tanya Atkins. She's not here today. She's out cruising around. She's on vacation. But in addition, the team is here. So I thank the team for really, really stepping up and doing the work in the community. During the midst of COVID, everyone was sort of standoffish. They really engaged the family. They knocked on doors. They had families come to the office by appointments because they wanted to get to know the families. How do we build trust in them so they can share their vision with us? In doing that, we had the families at the table looking at drawings. What do you like about this? What do you like about this? What do you don't like? Going in, picking out renderings for the floors and the paintings for the walls, the coloring stuff. So they were a part of the process. So you can't say Urban Strategy did this or McCormick Baring did this. They selected. I remember very distinctly, one of the ladies was not at the first meeting. She came in and she wanted to ambush what they did. They said, no. We as a team selected what we wanted. So that's really important to know it's a team effort. And on this cloudy day, like I said, the sun is shining all over the place. We see the rays everywhere. I want to applaud the Housing Authority. Kevin, that's my friend. The city, McCormick Baring. The school district has been a critical partner of ours. Tyronda calls all the time. And we saw her last week in Fort Myers at the conference. So it just goes to show the influence that we have and how do we team and work together. So I'm really excited about being at this groundbreaking, this Brown School, and now, this phase 1 of the Cleveland Avenues home. And with this partnership and collaboration, we're transforming this neighborhood, where our families can thrive. We want them to thrive. And then we want to stabilize them. We want them thriving. We want to provide those opportunities for them, those jobs, those education components, that child care needs. Whatever those needs are, we're looking to provide those needs for them. And a project like this size, it requires a lot of expertise. It requires a lot of commitment. It requires a lot of capacity. It requires a lot of people working together. How do we work together? We're a team. How do we work together to make everything happen? And also, just, applaud our partners for their support of the families. I want to thank everyone that made this project a reality. And the USI team, I want to thank you. And like I said, I want to give special thanks to Kevin and his team for really leading this effort. And Larry, we remember you being there when we were there. We appreciate you because that first try you were there, that second try you were there for a little while. So we really do appreciate that. So thank you, and much success. And our next speaker is one of our residents, Sabrina Brown. Come on up, Miss Sabrina.
Good afternoon. I have a paper up here, but I'm really not gonna go off this paper. I'm gonna go by, I grew up in Cleveland. My mother moved in Cleveland when I was 5. Miss Young is actually like my mother. When I grew up in Cleveland, they had a lot of things for us to do when we was teenagers. They had like the 4-H club, the Boys and Girls Club, the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts, and that gave our teenagers a lot to do. When my son was born and he was a teenager, they had like the 920 Club. That was the police department. They came in the neighborhood and took the teenagers out to keep them from being in trouble. They had the Boys and Girls Clubs. Bill McLean brought that in the neighborhood for the kids to not be out there getting in trouble, out there selling drugs, fighting, and all that. Then when I moved back in Cleveland, I've been there for 13 years now. I volunteered with God. That was to keep the kids from out there getting in trouble, selling drugs, making them coming in. They was coming in, making sure their schoolwork was done, making sure their grades was good in school, and all that. Then they took the teen center out of Cleveland. Guess what our teenagers was out there doing? Selling drugs, fighting, getting in trouble, wasn't going to school. Yep, started shooting, breaking in people's houses. If y'all want y'all community, our new community, to be great, you're gonna have to have something for our young people to do. Because if you don't have nothing for our young people to do, they're gonna tear up our new community. They're gonna bring it down, and we definitely don't want that. We want our new community to be the best. We don't want it to be like the old Cleveland, the old Happy Hill, the old, like the Piedmont Circle. We want it to be the best when we bring this new community up. We don't want it to come down. We want our young people to leave it the best community it can be. We don't want them to bring the drugs in our new community. We don't want them to bring the guns, the violence, or none of that in our new community. We want our community to be the best and leave it the best. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sabrina. One more round of applause for Sabrina. That's really hard to do, and you did a great job, so thank you. The mayor sent me up here to thank a few more people. That all that remains is our ceremonial groundbreaking. Those who have participated, if you can head that way, any elected official and the Housing Authority Board. I'll close with one thing. Our board chair is sitting back here, Andy Perkins, and let me say this. There's some people where flattery will get you somewhere. He's not one, okay? He'll tell me however it is, no matter what I say about him, so I'm not trying to ingratiate myself with him by saying this because it wouldn't do any good. So many things that are happening in this city right now have his fingerprints on them. That we just opened the loop, right, Mayor Joins? He was there. We were just at a groundbreaking for Met Village. He was there. We're doing this. He's here, okay? So he never wants to be up here. He's always where he is now, sitting back in the back, but he always shows up. And so I just would like to acknowledge him and everything he does and ask for a round of applause. Thank you so much.